Okay, I'm a daily driver, and you probably are too. Most people drive. I'm going to be describing how you would change your flat tire out for those that don't know how to. I would have, I would show you, but that would make this video extremely long. Sadly, there are a lot of people out there that don't know how to. My brothers included, that I believe. I just haven't been able to teach them. There are safer ways if you're not able to lift up the wheel by yourself. Like if it's just the wheel, if you can't lift up that wheel by yourself, you're probably not able to change it out anyways. It's going to be too hard. Some of the visual aid I'll be providing are a couple of the tools you'll need, and there's about 3 or 4 steps depending, because trucks and SUVs usually have an extra added step to get the spare tire out. And first step, of course, would be to get all your tools. Spare tire being one of those tools. In trucks, they're usually underneath the back seat. SUV type vehicles, it's in the back cargo area on the driver's side. There's a compartment. It's usually on the driver's side. It could be on the passenger. Cars, it's in the trunk. They can pretty much anywhere in the trunk. Now, the next step, if you have a truck or SUV, would be to get the spare tire. Usually you'd get your tire iron out, which is this tool right here. It's seen in vehicles to beat up people, but it's actually used for something other than beating up people. You use this end, you'll insert it in a hole beside your license plate, and you can tell where it's supposed to insert into. Some vehicles have, it's like they call it a key. It'd be something that you would put on the tire iron to that would go in the hole instead of the tire iron. Well, you turn it after you get it in, spin it whichever way lowers the spare tire. Then the next step, you can just skip that step if you have a car or a Jeep or something that doesn't have that in the back. And the next step would be to take off the lug nuts off that flat tire that you're changing out, and then lift up your vehicle with the jack. This is the jack right here. It's safest to have it as stable as you can whenever you're lifting it up. But the reason I'm telling you to take off the lug nuts before you lift it up is that tire will just spin when you're trying to take those off with it lifted up already, and it just add time because you have to lower it and then lift it back up. The third step or fourth step, depending on the spare tire, is to put that spare tire on. You want to push it on as far as you can get it onto those bolts, and then put on your lug nuts, tighten as tight as you can with your fingers, and then you'll want to make sure it's as tight as you possibly can. Then you'll lower your vehicle and just grab all your tools, put it up, and make sure you got the flat tire that you took off because you kind of don't want to leave that there. It's expensive to get a new wheel. You should be able to change out a flat tire now. If you don't know how to, I pretty much described it pretty good. Some safety things that I didn't tell you earlier, that flat tire, you want to get a new tire put on that flat tire, or get that flat tire fixed. It is number one, 2 reasons. Number one, you will no longer have a spare tire. If you have another flat, you'll be stuck. Or number two, that spare tire that you put on to replace it is usually the oldest tire on the vehicle. If you've got a 20-year-old vehicle, that tire can be 20 years old. So it's the most likely to go flat again, or it's just not safe. It's usually safest to go to the nearest tire shop to get it fixed, get a new one put on as soon as you can. Another thing, that jack, you want it as stable as you can, but it's not as stable as you may imagine. It's easy to knock off your vehicle if you're not paying attention by leaning on it or shaking your vehicle, like getting in and out of it. And if you're underneath it while it falls, it can pretty much kill you. If you're miraculously not underneath it, it's going to be extremely hard to get that vehicle back up if there's no wheel on it because it's pretty much sitting on the ground. Another reason is to tighten those lug nuts on as tight as you can. Because if you're driving and those are loose, it's even worse than driving with a flat tire. Because that wheel can fly off, and if you're driving, it's gonna be really hard to stop, really hard to control your vehicle. Bad wreck. That's where some people have really bad wrecks.